wouldn't really be an election year without another amnesty scam, and the Biden administration has delivered right on schedule, drafting multiple proposals that would grant legal status to hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens. The plan from the left is very simple. Ignore the law and leave the border open while Democrats are in office, then force amnesty programs onto the public to solve the very problem that they created. Progressives are using open borders to transform the United States demographically and reshape the electorate to their advantage. Biden may be unpopular now, but Democrats understand that millions of illegal immigrants crossing into the country under his watch translates into generations of electoral dominance in the future. The disastrous Biden presidency is a sacrificial vehicle designed to deliver permanent left-wing domination. Mass deportation is the only way to undo this subversion of the American electoral system. Mass democracy is a comically easy system to hack. If ruling elites can no longer control the voting patterns of their current population, they simply import a new population that's easier to manipulate. Newly arrived immigrants generally have lower incomes, face a language barrier, and don't have access to an established social network that can provide them with opportunities or assistance. This means that they're highly reliant on the government and can be manipulated easily by the promise of aid programs and preferential treatment. Illegal immigrants are also less likely to value the shared culture, principles, and history of their new nation, making them the ideal subject for a political movement that seeks to fundamentally transform the United States. Leftists often mock conservatives who frame illegal immigration as a threat to election integrity by pointing out that non-citizens can't vote, but this is a deeply dishonest argument. Several progressive cities already allow for non-citizen voting in local elections, and there's a clear desire to normalize the idea nationwide. No one's sure how many illegal aliens end up voting fraudulently in presidential elections, but ultimately that's not the most important issue. The major concern isn't about illegal votes in current presidential contests, but about the electoral time bomb created by importing tens of millions of illegal immigrants who will almost certainly receive amnesty. The media skillfully parades images of suffering migrants across American television screens. Reporters never ask how those illegal immigrants arrived or why they were allowed to stay, treating the entire situation as a natural disaster requiring emergency measures. The pressure to provide amnesty to illegal aliens who have lived in the country for decades builds, while birthright citizenship ensures that their children can already vote. Inevitably, some Republicans foolishly believe that they can ingratiate themselves with immigrant communities by providing amnesty, and all of a sudden, tens of millions of overwhelmingly Democratic voters are added to the rolls. Securing the border is obviously the top priority, but while that's necessary, it's no longer sufficient. During Biden's tenure, authorities have encountered over 8 million illegal aliens at the border, and that number keeps growing every day. Several red states' worth of illegal aliens are already inside the country, and if they stay until they inevitably receive amnesty, Democrats would effectively achieve one-party rule. American politicians should have treated our nation's borders with the same seriousness that they ascribe to the borders of foreign nations like Israel or Ukraine, but they didn't, and now we have to face the reality of the problem before us. Donald Trump has already promised mass deportations during his second term, even considering deploying the National Guard to get the job done. The former president made similar statements in 2016, but he must fulfill this promise if the right wants to avoid permanent electoral irrelevance. Amazingly, while both parties treat the issue of mass deportation as an anathema, voters don't share this view. A recent CBS poll just found that 62% of voters favor a program to deport all illegal aliens. That massive degree of support is also heavily bipartisan, with 1/3 of Democrats and 90% of Republicans backing the plan. The same poll also found majority support for local law enforcement officers identifying illegal immigrants for deportation. We're constantly hearing about the sacredness of our democracy. If that's the case, well then give the people what they want. Mass deportation is a winning electoral issue. and any GOP politician or candidate refusing to support it is either a coward or a sellout to the swamp. The objection from deportation opponents is often that the process would be logistically impossible or brutal and cruel in its execution. This is a straw man. By simply enforcing e-verify laws to shut down illegal employment, heavily taxing remittances, and denying all government aid to illegal aliens, most migrants would be forced to return to their countries of origin on their own. When the jobs, subsidized housing, free healthcare, schooling, food programs, all that stuff evaporates, sorry, but a lot of these people are just not going to hang around in a foreign country where they don't speak the language. And hey, let's make it easy. Free plane rides out of the country would be vastly less expensive than decades of welfare. We should just make self-deportation as simple and painless as possible. Criminals should be expelled immediately, but the number of non-criminal aliens who would actually need to be removed is much lower than people think. Now, while I've primarily addressed the very real electoral issues that make large-scale repatriation a necessity, a moral dimension also exists. The United States is a sovereign nation that belongs to its people. It's not an economic zone to be operated for the profit of the ruling elite. The citizens of this nation have a right to decide who should be allowed to share it with them and who should inherit it when they're gone. The future of our great land should not be decided by soulless politicians who would allow drugs, human trafficking, and violent gangs to flow across the border for their own cynical gain. While increased border security, lower levels of legal immigration, protection for American jobs, and even mass deportation have been politically popular for decades, both parties refuse to engage with these topics. Republicans will make some kind of noise about increasing border security, but when it comes down to it, they can't find a few $billions to fund a wall, but can find tens or hundreds of billions of dollars to go fight a war in some foreign nation, defend the borders of some other country. Donald Trump already faces a difficult task. It's an uphill battle with his legal issues. The entire system is turned against him, but he must not waver. Mass deportation is already politically popular, and the only question is whether Trump will have the courage to act. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do so. If you'd like to get these broadcasts as podcasts, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the Auron MacIntyre Show on your favorite podcast platform. When you do, leave a rating or a review. It really helps with the algorithm magic. If you'd like to follow me on Gab or Twitter or Substack or Instagram, if you'd like to get these videos on Odyssey or Rumble, go ahead and click the links down below in the description. If you'd like to pick up my new book, The Total State, you can do that on Amazon. It had sold out on the UK Amazon site, but it's back in stock now, so if you're waiting, you can go ahead and pick it up. Of course, you can also pick it up at Barnes & Noble and Books A Million or your local bookstore, but you may have to ask them to order it there, but you can support them that way. And of course, you can watch all of my shows and read all of my columns over at The Blaze. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I'll talk to you next time.